Hi, I'm Matt Mowry, editor of Business New Hampshire magazine, and this is the BNH Spotlight. Today in the Spotlight we have presidential candidate and Ohio Governor John Kasich. Welcome, Governor.
Thanks. Always good to be with you.
So
It can't be always good to be with you because this is the first time I've been with you, but nice to see you.
Well, we appreciate it. Well, you've been in the state quite a bit,
Yeah.
so it feels like old friends now.
Yeah.
So let's start off with, for our business readers, talking about a balanced budget. They're always having to balance it. I know this is a big part of your platform. Can you talk about your plan to balance the budget when you get into office?
Well, look, the reason I care about balancing budgets is because I want our business friends here to have the sense that things are secure, and if they invest in a business or they expand a business, they're not going to get hammered and find themselves up against the wall somehow. So it's important to get economic growth going. There's three things: common sense regulations, lower taxes, and of course a fiscal plan of restraint. If you do that and you prepare the workforce, you're going to have some really good results.
So what are some of the regulatory changes our business readers would expect should you get into office? What would your administration be tackling?
Well, I'd want to freeze all new federal regulations for 1 year, and except for health and safety. And then anything over 100 million that Congress would have to vote on. And then we should review every regulation. We do this in Ohio right now. And if the regulations don't make sense, they're excessive, they don't have common sense, we should get rid of them. So, you know, the regulatory side is really, really important, particularly to small business.
Taxes, obviously another big issue for businesses, is something that you brought up. So what would your tax, can you review some of your tax policy? What would be some of the major points you would be hitting on to reform taxes?
Well, we know that small businesses pay their taxes based on their personal. So I want to bring the personal rate down to 28, 25, 10 with a capital gains of 15. Simplify it, lower rates, achievable. And then on the business side, I would want to bring the rates down to 25, allow people to expense investment in plant and equipment, and then finally don't double tax them. If they operate in another country, they pay taxes, don't tax them when they bring their money back here. I think that will give them an incentive to bring their money back, and of course we want them to bring all this money back now at a very low rate, and then ultimately don't tax them double.
So how do you reform taxes and still meet the needs of those that find themselves at the lower end of our economy that are struggling?
Well, I believe we should double the earned income tax credit in Washington. I've done it in Ohio. But you see, the way you get to a balanced budget and certainty is common sense regs, lower taxes, a fiscal plan. You grow the economy as the economy grows, and as you restrain government and reform government and innovate it, that's how you get to a balanced budget. And as you're driving that, you're going to see your economy begin to really take off. I mean, it's happened. I was chairman of the Budget Committee in Washington. It happened then. We ran surpluses, paid down $500 billion of the national debt. It's happened in the publicly held debt. It also happened in Ohio. This is a formula that works.
A lot of your platform has to do with giving a lot of what the federal government's doing back to the states, education, and a lot of other areas. What is your plan for, what specifically are you looking to give back to the states, and how would you make that transition smooth that the states are capable of taking?
Well, man, I would take 104 federal education programs, put them into 4 buckets, and ship it back to the states. I would take welfare and ship it back to the states. The money connected would have to be used for welfare, but you could reform it based on New Hampshire values. I'd like to send transportation back to the states, so you don't send a lot of money to Washington and then where they scrape some off the top and send less back. I would like to do job training in the states. Every state has a unique challenge with workforce. And Medicaid, the programs for the poor, the health programs. I think you can get a lot better service innovation if you set the states free. So you don't want to take these programs and be in a position of where you take Medicaid money and pave roads with it, but essentially let the states design a program that they want.
Energy is another huge issue for our state. We're at the end of the energy pipeline. We have some of the most expensive energy costs around. It's a big cost driver for our businesses. What would an energy policy look under a Kasich administration?
All of the above. Coal, nuclear, natural gas, clean the coal, of course, before you burn it. and the development of renewables, wind and solar, efficiency, geothermal. I mean, all these things should be in play, every one of them. And because if you can get the low price of energy, as you know, it helps businesses to be powered. It can even help us to bring jobs back from Europe in the manufacturing space. That's what it would be. And look, I'm worried about climate change. I do think we affect the climate, but we don't want to go, we don't know the degree, and so we want to have a balanced approach to this issue. And the balanced approach is, you know, it's not inconsistent to have a good environment, low energy prices, at the same time you have economic growth.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Governor,
Oh, I
for
loved it.
taking time
Thank
out
you.
to join us today. This has been your BNH Spotlight.